Hi, everyone. My name is Whitney McGuire. I am a sustainability strategist. I am a professor. And what else do I do? I'm an attorney. I practice law for about 10 years. I'm a mother and overall creative. I am here to talk to you about systems thinking and systems design, specifically in the context of whatever the fuck this is that we are navigating right now. Um, One thing that I'm hearing from all types of people in my life is that people are feeling pretty not only frustrated, not only fearful, but helpless about the state of our country and, you know, our lives and how that's affecting our lives. And one way, this is just one way, there are so many different ways to combat hopelessness and to really set us on, pathways for us to really change what we are experiencing right now and to know that we have agency in changing. Protesting is one way, boycotting, right? Being in community in a real way, transforming the way we are friends to ourselves and to each other, transforming the ways we show up in our intimate relationships because our community work starts in intimate relationships. But another way is through the identification of the systems that we navigate on a daily basis and the systems that impact us on a daily basis. So that's one way. And then once we identify those systems, then we can start to identify points within the system that can be changed. And changing some points in a system can actually change the entire system overall and the way it functions and the purpose of that system. So we'll get into that later. But for now, I just want you to understand that this is one tool to create massive change. And right now, this is what we need. We all need the skill set to be able to identify systems, understand the systems, and find points of change within the system that we have access to, that we have power in to really transform the system. So, what is a system? A system is just a set of interacting parts that, have relationships with each other and it serves a purpose, right? A common goal. We can look at our bodies as systems, right? We have all these interrelated parts that without the parts, the system wouldn't function properly. We can look at even inside the body, like the heart itself is a system. Our cardiovascular network is a system. Our nerves and the way our nerves respond, to each other and trigger other effects, like I can raise my arm because my brain and my nerves are all connected. I'm not a doctor. I am not deeply entrenched in biology by any means, but I do know the basics and I do know that these are systems, right? A car itself is a system. If you remove a wheel from a four-wheeled vehicle, it's not going to function properly, right? If you remove what's a part of a car? Carburetor. If you remove that thing from the car, it's not going to function properly, right? So all of these parts that are a part of the system are integral to the system working the way it's supposed to. If we look at our political system, we see that there are so many different aspects of the system that work together to function the way it's supposed to. And depending on what part of the receiving end you are on, when it comes to that system, you will be impacted by that system differently. What do I mean by that? A lot of people have been saying like our political system is broken, because we're seeing all of these like not only deep inefficiencies become glaringly obvious that are really trickling down to affecting our ability to buy groceries, pay rent, have a job, support our families. But we're also seeing the sort of opposite happening for people who the system was meant to benefit. So what I'm saying is that our system, our political system is functioning properly. because the way that our government works, the way that capitalism works as a set of different interrelated systems, and we'll get to what that's called a little later, is that when there are poor and impoverished people who have poor health, the stock value of the companies that control our medicines, our food systems, and everything that we rely on to have a living are become in high demand, right? So the people who have stock in those companies within this capitalistic context, they're the ones that benefit. And so the system is built to function that way. It's working the way it's supposed to work. And unfortunately, so many people are on the receiving end of the really unethical and inhumane aspects of a system. Why do I say that? I say that to say that systems can either function for a good purpose or a bad purpose. And I hate to think in binaries, but when it comes to systems, we have to really be clear about what is good and what is bad. Good means a system meets needs that have been unmet. A good system provides solutions without creating more unmet needs. So if we're talking about, let's say, a school system, for example, and a public school system, and we know that, the public school system supports the education of all students within a certain geographic location, right? It's free, it's supposed to deliver quality education, and it's supposed to enrich the workforce because these people are, moving through the system and ideally becoming our next generation of laborers, right? But sometimes our school systems can function inefficiently and can create more unmet needs, like students who may not be able to afford to eat, but they have to attend school. And if they don't attend school, they are penalized. And this penalization of students not being able to have their needs met then creates more of a pipeline to criminality and more of a pipeline to our prison industrial systems and complex, right? So a school system that continues to, I would say, like expand or shut down schools or, respond to different changes while creating so many other problems is a bad system, right? A good system is a system that tries to find solutions to problems that are inherent within any system, but those solutions do not create more unmet needs to the people, places, and things that are impacted by the system. So, what is it called when systems intersect with each other and more unmet needs, like in the example of a school system leading to a prison industrial complex or feeding into that? What is that called? That's called a wicked problem. That means that different systems are working or intersecting with each other. Even though they're distinct and different systems, they intersect with each other to create so many unmet needs that become so overwhelming and so hard to solve that people are faced with basically hopelessness. Wicked problems are homelessness. Wicked problems are capitalism is a wicked problem, or the effects of capitalism. Racism is a wicked problem. Food impoverishment is a wicked problem. Fast fashion is a wicked problem. Housing crises are wicked problems. Financial insecurity on a grand scale is a wicked problem. Poverty doesn't exist in a vacuum. You can't just be individually impoverished. No, there are so many intersecting systems that function to keep people in that position. And the more we understand the way systems work, the purposes of those systems, and how we are impacted by those systems, the more we can begin to find ways within those systems to really intervene and to change the system entirely. Those points of change, those points of intervention are called leverage points. And we will talk about the different types of leverage points and the different ways that those leverage points can have an impact overall on a system. So I just want to close this video out by reminding you that the more you can identify systems, the more you understand what components the system is made of and the relationships between those components and the purpose of that system, the more informed you are about the choices that you have to interact with that system and to transform that system from within. Next time, we will get a lot more specific and you will learn about the different parts of a system and we will learn about intervention points and we will have more examples. So until then, thank you for watching. This is my first video. I hope it went well. I teach this class, in a 3-hour format for an entire semester at Parsons. And so this is my first attempt at making it getting these concepts out in like 10 minutes. I have no script and I'm just going off of, the years that I've been teaching this. So, and the years that I've been practicing systems thinking and systems design. So hope that helps. I'm so excited to continue this series. Thanks everyone. Bye.